So one of the most important things when it comes to personal branding is the ability for you to tell a story. There's so many different reasons why you should do this. Primarily, it's humans as we were created are hardwired to receive stories and relate to stories better than we relate to any other form of communication, right? You can see this in the world around you where people generally will go, and if they don't have a story to tell, they'll even create one to try and gain the attention and the energy and the trust of all of the people around them in a way that stories just do that better than anything else, right? You can tell a bunch of facts, but it's easier for me to tell you a personal story that you relate to on a better level, on a deeper level, so that you can actually relate to what I'm saying. So there's two major keys when it comes to telling a story, right? And that is understanding the power of your words and the power of your delivery, right? Talking to somebody and using a certain set of vocabulary enables them, and it really enables you to dive in and pinpoint them at certain points so that they are gravitate towards what you're creating, right? So with that, it's kind of like the understanding of telling someone what to do versus flipping it and telling them what they're doing right and how they can get better, right? Using the certain vocabulary words that don't put them down, but also enlighten them, but push them in the right direction to enable like them to actually feel and connect to what you're saying, instead of putting up that defense of being like, oh man, he's telling me that I'm doing something wrong. Then the second one is going into the power of delivery, which really comes down to a balance of self-assertiveness and compassion, right? The compassion part I want to touch on first because I think it's really the most important, is being able to understand where they're at, right? The idea of meeting somebody where they are, understanding what feeling they're experiencing right now, and how you can shift your delivery to really tap into that and connect to them on a deeper level, and not even have you feel connected to them, but really have them, right? And then that ties into the self-assertiveness, meaning you really have to come out and put yourself out there in a way that enables them to be like, oh, he's worth listening to, right? It's kind of tapping into that idea of a powerful confidence that not only, that doesn't come across as cocky in a way that I'm better than you, but a confidence that you know what you're talking about and you're really there for the right reasons to help them along whatever they're doing, whatever their struggle is, or whatever the pinpoint part of their life that you've identified using compassion is, so that you can really look at them and help like make that connection happen as deep as possible, right? So, and then I want to talk about a little bit more of the storytelling. Is obviously your words and your delivery is a huge part, but there's a couple non-expressed indicators that really will help you kind of guide that, right? Eye contact is a huge thing, right? Connecting to somebody and really looking at them dead in the eye is something that really helps them connect to you on a deeper level. And that's something that's utilized by people across the board to make sure that you actually feel that human connection, right? Not that you're talking to some random person that's distracted and looking somewhere else. It's really like understanding like this is the conversation that's going on right now, and this is what you should be paying attention to because I'm paying attention to you, right? The second one is going on, and it's my favorite tactic that I've ever used, and that's the idea of silence, right? Having this conversation right now, people feel like the need to fill all of the space in this 30 seconds with words because it makes them very uncomfortable when there's silence in the room. It's literally dubbed awkward silence, right? But the powerful part of silence is that it makes people literally grasp onto every single word. If you utilize silence and you stop and you listen, you can start to see that people like will start to like lean forward a little bit and start to understand like, oh wait, like this is important. Like, why is he stopping? Why is he not saying anything? And it starts to grab their attention a little bit more. And that's one of my favorite tactics within storytelling that really enables us to control the audience in a way that they hear the silence and they stop and they catch their attention. In this world that is filled with noise, it is constantly noisy. Silence is something that's very rare and something that we should really be able to tap into and able to use that in our stories to really grab people's attention. The next is emotional range, and that's something you can tap into with body language and all that stuff, and something that you guys should be able to learn how to read, and that is meeting somebody where they are, kind of like what I touched on earlier. I really want you to see, and like if someone is feeling sad, you're not going to go at them with a very happy, like go lucky approach if that's not what's going to meet their mood that they need right now. So I really want to be able to have you guys pay attention and look at those types of indicators and meet them exactly on the emotional range where they are, where if they're sad, it's probably better to go with a more supportive role, a more supportive approach at talking to them, instead of like a hard, like this is how you should do things. It's easier if you take it the other way and meet them exactly where they are and understand the depth of emotion that they can feel, but also be able to utilize the depth of emotion that you acquired to be able to tap into that and connect with them on a deeper level. And then following that, I want to dive into kind of what I said earlier with that go-to story. There's always has to be, when someone meets you, like, what's the go-to story that you're able to do? And I've really narrowed that down to having three main parts, right? There's the situation, the action that you took, and the result from that. So I really want you to think about in the past 6 months, what is a big situation that caused some sort of, I want to say, hardship that you had to take action on, and then really identify like what those key components of the story are. You could take my story on how I got started with all of this, right? I was sitting there bored, not understanding why I couldn't be a Jay Alvarez, why I couldn't work with brands, why I couldn't have 100,000 followers, right? And then my action that I took was I started really researching social media. I started looking into it and learning how to growth hack and learning the ins and outs of the industry so that I could become that. And the result is now I work with brands like McDonald's, right? Now I worked with Gerard Adams. I moved to New York for 6 months. Everything paid for, right? Like, this is my go-to story that really helps identify who I am as a person, and people feel as if they know me because I really went deeper into what I was saying, right? And I want you guys to be able to formulate that same type of story. So down below, we're going to have a little bit of 2 questions that I want you to answer so that we can have a better understanding of what it is. And I'm really excited that as you start to develop your personal story, we can start to push that into building your personal brand in the next couple of videos.